Morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Sending you all my love this morning. Welcome to Cold Calm. It's my honor and joy to be with you all. And thanks for taking the time to rearrange your day to be here. Before we dive into today's meditation, I wanted to just lay a very brief foundation for what's happening, how we're doing, the general kind of state of play that we're experiencing as individuals who are going through this broader awakening in the world. We're currently living through what I've come to affectionately call the evolution of everything. If you're here, it means that you don't fit in, you don't belong. Quite honestly, you are waking up to a part of you that you don't have a language for. You're finding it harder to be around chaos or dissonance. You're finding it harder to be around drama. You're yearning and trending more for peace, and you're beginning to withdraw from your life as you've known it. Leave me a 1 or a yes in the chat on Zoom if you're tracking what I'm saying this morning. And coupled with that, we're going through a fundamental redefinition or reevaluation of what it means to be a human being at large. So as we observe society, familial structures, organizational structures, they're beginning to devolve or disintegrate. And it's making it so much harder for us to begin to find a sense of direction or a sense of purpose in all of this, because everything that authentically resonates with us has yet to come into being. And this is where you come in. I feel like you're not fitting in and you're not belonging is actually a feature, not a bug. And I feel like the more you begin to accept and give yourself permission to be the human being that you are, the more you begin to uncover the inherent love, the presence, the possibility, the potential of you that's always lie dormant there. And so if you don't mind, before we get too further into everything that I'm about to explain with you, just take some breaths. Just allow yourself to become aware of your inhalation and exhalation, something that I've lovingly and affectionately come to call resting in the awareness of your breath. And simply noticing that the more I allow myself to rest in the awareness of my breath, the more my life, my experience of life becomes peaceful, and the more I cultivate a sense of personal peace, the more I'm then able to cultivate a sense of communal peace, communal being family, peers, colleagues, etc., friends. And then beyond that, the more I have a collective sense of peace around everything that's happening in the world. Because when I allow myself to rest in the awareness of my breath, and I allow myself to tap into this natural state of being, which is calm or peace, I'm no longer in survival. I'm no longer overwhelmed by stress. I'm no longer sidelined by heightened emotion. I'm able to think, move, and act from a place of personal power, and to advocate on behalf of myself with clarity. And so for over 1,700 and I don't know how many days anymore, people like you from all over the world have been gathering together here to rediscover that peace within them, to reconnect to it, to know that no matter what they're going through, there is a peaceful option, there is something greater available to them, that they don't have to engage in the once familiar survival and stress and overwhelm, that they can go through the most challenging scenarios from a place of connection. And actually, as a community-wide phenomenon, this calm and this peace has allowed people to go through so many unimaginable things throughout the course of the 1,272 days, with a sense of grace, with a sense of ease. In case you hadn't figured it out by now, you can no longer rely on your external world, the things that are outside of you, for any sense of certainty. More and more, it's becoming increasingly evident and obvious to all of us that the only place where that certainty can be sourced from is within us. And this is the essence of awakening. This is the essence of becoming aware. This is the essence of why, at this moment in human history, you're alive and you're going through what you're going through. Because you are offering you, everybody in proximity to you, and everybody in the world a different way of being. You're offering the gift and the blessing of a different possibility. And so, in your time with me, just continue to come back to the breath. Continue to come back to the calm. Continue to come back to the part of you that's always there, that's dependable, that's reliable, that's only ever a breath away. This week we've been exploring some pretty interesting areas. And it began on Monday with a deep dive into the cultivation of personal peace and why this is important. For most of you, the reason why you embarked on a path of personal development or spirituality in the first place was because you inherently had an issue or a problem with being a human being, with your emotions, with your feelings, with your mind, with your body, with a circumstance or situation that you're going through, something based in your identity. And what's happened here, people like you all over the world, over the course of 1,272 something days of called calm, is that now people have less of an issue or a problem in being a human being. So they're now more at peace in the experience of themselves. And of course, when you finally realize that being human isn't something that we have to fix or change or improve, nor is it something that we really have to understand. It's a means to an end. It's something that allows us to access something greater. Then at that point, we can finally give ourselves permission to be the human being that we are, to have the emotions that we have, to have the feelings that we have, to have the thought processes that we have, to have the belief systems that we have, and to also embrace our current physical experience. As soon as you do this, and it's not a perfect science, you'll begin to notice that you're able to remain probably 85 to 90% more at peace and more aware than you ever have been. Because you have systematically, through commitment, consistency, and repetition, given yourself the gift of empathy and compassion and love. And in doing so, you now no longer need to be different in order to be loved. On Tuesday, as we've expanded beyond this sense of personal peace, we then began to look at peace in terms of community, a communal sense of peace. And of course, this can be so much harder for so many of you because you have an attachment to family members, you have a certain attachment to friends, to peer groups, co-workers, colleagues. However, what we're uncovering here, and collectively discovering here, is that we can also cultivate a sense of peace as it relates to community, people that are closest to us. That actually in some way, we're here to be almost like a lighthouse. We're here to embody a certain potential. And that the more we remain peaceful, the more we are keeping that possibility alive for everyone else who has yet to remember that they are also, at their natural state, peaceful. And so communal peace happens when you let go of attachments, when you let go of connections or relationship dynamics, quite honestly, that aren't based in love in the first place. And you'll begin to notice that once you have this foundation of personal peace, and then you move into this broader foundation and context of communal peace, then it's much easier for you to be at peace with the world. That actually you can begin to recognize that we are an immature species that's evolving with advanced technology. And that in the context of things, in the grand scheme of things, given the fact that we're exhibiting a certain level of maturity, we're actually doing really well. That the world is more collaborative, more loving, more in harmony, people are more awake and aware than they ever have been. And so all in all, we're trending toward a brighter, more golden future. And here's where you come in. Take a moment to consider the possibility that your uniqueness is actually the avenue through which this comes into being. For example, have your life experiences just been arbitrary? Or has there been some broader design, some greater perfection unfolding through you being the way that you are? Well, the more you become peaceful, the more you begin to notice, hang on a minute, there's absolutely nothing about my life that's arbitrary. The emotions that I have, these feelings that I'm experiencing, the mental process, my physical experience, everything that I'm going through is actually facilitating one thing and one thing alone: a greater relatability and a greater connectivity. That actually my life's experiences aren't something that I have to overcome. They're not things that I have to make go away. They aren't things that I have to, in any way, shape or form, change. That actually my life's experiences, my history, my past, everything that I've gone through has served to make me who I am. And in allowing me to be who I am now, I have a greater degree of empathy and compassion for every other human being. Why? Because I've personally experienced some version of what they're going through. And so, as you continue to embrace who you are, you begin to realize, well, wow, in the presence of being peaceful with myself, I'm no longer surviving these emotions. I'm no longer surviving my mind. I'm no longer surviving my physical experience. I'm no longer, if you're spiritual, surviving my ego. That all of these things are actually necessary. They are by design. They are intentional. And that the more I allow myself to accept them, and the more I allow myself to embrace them, the more this peace that I am begins to express itself through all of these things. And then, and it's uncanny, I find myself in situations where I'm around people who are going through something similar. And I'm in that moment, because I've gone through it, because I know what it feels like, I know what that emotion is, I know what that feeling is, I know what that mental state is, I know what the physical experience is like, I can be available for them. I can be a place of possibility and potential for them. And what's interesting is, when I've actually accepted and embraced myself, and I give myself permission to be who I am, I no longer need to fix them. I'm not surviving them. I don't need to survive their survival. I can actually just be there as a neutral, loving presence and embrace them. Because why? Because when we begin to cultivate this sense of personal peace, we realize in truth that everyone's just an extension of us. That this peace that we're tapping into is actually the foundational experience of everyone and everything. And so your life, and if you're new to me, your life, no matter what you've gone through, actually has an intentionality to it. There's a design to it. There's a perfection unfolding in the midst of it. And that perfection, I know some of you are like, well, what do you mean perfection? My childhood, like the stuff that I've gone through, I get it, I hear you. And so many people that are here have also gone through similar experiences. And yet what we've discovered is that one day you'll meet someone, one person, who's gone through something similar than you. And you'll just be able to nod, and you'll just be able to open your arms to them and embrace them. And in that moment, the reason why you had the experience that you had will make perfect sense. So every single human being eventually has to return to peace, because it's our destiny, newsflash, spoiler alert, to become peaceful. And we have to become peaceful in order to actualize our potential. What's interesting now is that there are world leaders in certain parts of the far-flung world that are now discovering that their citizens have a right to peace. And that actually it's only in the presence of that foundation of peace that they can actualize their potential as a nation. Now, these instances are few and far between, and the mode or medium through which that peace is coming into being is often questionable. However, we're beginning to see the ramifications of a group of people on this planet, all races, all religions, as diverse can be on the outside, coming together in a unified collective experience of peace. Not because it's trendy, not because it's a meditation challenge, not because all of a sudden somebody came up with it as a bright idea in response to a crisis, but actually because it's the truth of who we all are. It's our natural state, and it's why we're here. And I know in my heart, it's why you're here. It's why you've shown up in my life. It's why you're hearing these words. Because it's what you crave the most. You know, and I know, that this peace is actually a basic fundamental human right. And that every single person, no matter where they are in the world, deserves to live peacefully. They deserve to explore their creativity, their ingenuity, their entrepreneurship, their brilliance. They deserve to explore what it means to be human in the broadest sense. And it's peace that makes it possible. And so just close your eyes for a moment and just breathe and relax. And just know that whether you're new to meditating, whether you've been doing it for 20 years, it really doesn't matter. This isn't about meditation in the typical form that meditation takes. It's not prescriptive. We're not trying to become peaceful. We're just finally allowing ourselves to consciously become aware of the peace that's always been there, the truth that's always been there. So close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and just breathe and relax. And just allowing yourself to connect with this peace, this calm. And you'll notice at first that you may find that challenging. And that's okay if you do. Just continue to accept what's happening. Give yourself permission to be a human being. And in giving yourself permission to be a human being, just see if you can relax just that little bit more into that peace that's there. What you're doing is disengaging from a very ancient primordial way of being as a human being, which is rooted in survival and adrenal overwhelm and overload. Into accessing a more neutral state, which you can embody all the time, which is regenerative. That actually what we've discovered here is that the more people give themselves permission to be peaceful, the more they begin to experience a more regenerative version of being a human being. In fact, in some cases, in the presence of this calm and peace, self-healing can occur. Why? Because the body's no longer overwhelmed by stress. Also, in the presence of this peace, you can begin to gain absolute clarity as to relationship dynamics. What love actually means, how you deserve to be treated, the life you deserve to live. You can also start to gain certain intuition or guidance as it relates to how to move forward, career, calling, creativity, what that looks like. But what's interesting is that every shift in your life that you experience, that more often than not you're forced into experiencing, life makes you experience these shifts, you can actually voluntarily allow to unfold from within your being by simply returning to your natural state. So meditation is just an entry point into returning to your natural state and realizing that your humanity is not the problem, that you didn't come here to survive your life and others, that you're actually here to show people another way. A way that's very natural to you, however, a way that you've been made so wrong for and about. So, How many of you, and if you're on Zoom, of course, you can leave me a comment in the chat, leave me a 1 or yes in chat, if you can begin to feel this shift in your state of being, calmer, peaceful. And just noticing that we don't have to be in a dark room while burning incense. That we can actually just come back to our breath. And that we can actually come back to our natural state. And that the more we do, the more we allow ourselves to access the possibilities and the potentials that were denied to us through the state of survival and overwhelm that we were just so used to. Wonderful. All right, take some deep breaths and stay with it. So, brings me to today's sharing. So if we can absolutely cultivate a sense of personal peace, and we can shift our relationship with ourselves, totally, from one where we're surviving our emotions, trying to get rid of them, surviving our feelings, trying to get rid of them, we're at war with our minds, we're trying to get rid of it, we're trying to overcome things in the body because the things in the body shouldn't be happening in the way that they're. Like once we finally evolve beyond this reductionist model of spirituality, or life and living, or being human, and we start to cultivate a more inclusive way of being, which is based in love, we begin to realize that now we can be at peace, not just with ourselves and our own lives, and again, not a perfect science, even if it's 80% of the time, that's 80% more than most people will ever experience within the course of their lifetime. Well, then we can then extend that same courtesy to everyone in our lives by expanding that peace that we have and giving it a broader context, the context of community. That we can actually live our lives that way. And just as much as no part of our life was a mistake and we had to go through everything that we had to go through, we can then allow everyone in our lives to have their experience and to go through everything that they have to go through. So the same peace that we offer ourselves becomes the grace and the blessing that then we're empowered to authentically offer every other human being. And of course then, in the presence of this peace, this opens up avenues of empowerment. What you'll notice is that while you are in perpetual states of survival, you are fundamentally incapable of advocating on behalf of yourself. How many of you can see that? While you're in states of survival, stress, and overwhelm, you are fundamentally incapable of advocating on behalf of yourself. But the more you become peaceful, and the more you come back to the breath, and again, commitment, consistency, and repetition. 1,272 days of call to calm. If this is day 1, don't panic. The more you can come back to this place of peace, the more you can see the broader potential and possibility for you in your life in that area. And actually, more often than not, because you're finally in a place of calm in the midst of the life event, the life event has an uncanny way of coming into resolution by itself, or the next step appears in front of you as if by magic. And so, once we get to personal peace, we access personal power. Then once we can expand that peace, then include the broader context of our life, which is communal peace, well then we have this sense of being empowered through every phase of our lives. And the final piece of this is the most important piece, is the collective experience of being human. You know, we live in a world where we are bombarded by news headlines. We are no longer just able to access bite-sized portions of information that we need. We're overwhelmed by global information and, of course, things that further accentuate the heightened sense of survival, being on guard, that keeps us distanced from the essence of who we are. And so it's also important then to recognize that we can create a sense of collective peace. And this is where it gets a bit hard for some of you, because some of you have been here for 1,272 days, And now you're not reacting to things. You're not allowing your psyche to be hijacked by heightened emotion anymore. You're remaining peaceful, but of course the issue is that everyone in your life is still in some state of survival, and they can't believe that you're so calm and peaceful about everything. And so how we then apply this to what's happening collectively is we have to realize that in the end, humanity makes it. Humanity, at large, makes it. We're going to be fine. And we're going to be fine because we are going through this shift into peace. That's why we're going to be fine. That for 1,272 days, people from all over the world, I mean every corner of the globe, everywhere where they have access to an internet connection, as different can be, have come here and have found a place of commonality in the uniting principle of this peace, of this natural state of being that dwells within us all. So the unification of the world and the movement and the trending toward peace is already at work. It's already happening. And so what allows us to have peace about what's happening collectively is to not look at what's happening in the middle of the movie, or the beginning of the movie, or 3/4 of the way through the movie. We have to look down the timeline of human evolution, and we have to realize that eventually we're going to work it out. We're going to figure it out. We're going to realize that we're all part of the same love. We're all manifestations of the same light. That at our very essence, we're all the same. And what allows us to come to that realization or expedite that outcome is our willingness as individuals to be in that peace. To not be overwhelmed by survival, to not be in opposition to ourselves, to not be at war with aspects of ourselves, to no longer have to engage in this reductionist model for transformation. I have nothing but peace as I look into the future, and nothing but hope for us all. Because all of you are here. And the more of us gather together here, and the more we all realize the value of being peaceful, of connecting to our natural state, and being able to move through our lives from this place, the more then there's a ripple effect of that. All of a sudden, instead of surviving your co-workers, your colleagues, your wife, your husband, your parents, your siblings, your grandchildren, children, you can now offer them this gift of peace. And you can also offer them the gift of acceptance, and also give them permission to be the way that they are. And so we're at a crossroads. And I'm happy to say that at this particular intersection, you and I have figured out what's important. We've uncovered a deeper truth that's present in everybody. And we have realized that not fitting in, not belonging, not being accepted is actually a feature, not a bug. And that inability on the part of others to accept us and love us has actually prompted us to look inside of ourselves and to find that love and that acceptance and that nurturing from within ourselves. And so really, all roads lead to peace. Everything is leading you back to your heart. And every single life event is showing you one of two things. Either that you're surviving it, and if you're surviving it, you're trying to get rid of it, you're wishing it never happened, you're fixing it, healing it, changing it, trying to improve it, which just further cements it in place, or you're accepting it, you're embracing it, and you're giving yourself permission to be human. And today, as you navigate your way through the day, I'd like you to try both. When something happens, vehemently resist it. Try and get rid of it. Do everything that you can, everything that you know, to have the outcome be different. I'm not asking you to believe me or take my word for anything. Take it for a test drive. And then, when life happens, try the opposite. Allow yourself to accept the emotion to give yourself permission to feel the feeling, to give yourself permission to be a human being, and then come back to your breath. And just begin to notice for yourselves which one is the most empowering, which way of being actually serves you the most. I feel like sometimes, in light of all of the call to calm meditations, all of the monologues, everything that we've gone through, we just have to take a moment to return to some basic fundamentals. So today, try both approaches. Try surviving your life, surviving your emotions, resisting everything, fighting against everything, being afraid of everything. By all means, give it a try. And then, when something else happens, accept it, embrace it, give yourself permission to be the way that you are. Come back to your breath and go through it peacefully. Eventually what will happen is that you will discover that the more you allow yourself to be with what's happening, to give yourself permission to experience it, to realize that there's really nothing working against you, that actually everything that's happening in every moment is just supporting you and cultivating a deeper experience of self-acceptance and self-love, well then naturally you'll trend more toward peace. And your life will then begin to demonstrate, and it will also liberate the innate potential that's always dwelled within you. Nothing in your life of any value can come into being until you give yourself the gift of peace. Nothing sustainable anyway. People have built companies on foundational platforms of survival that have crumbled in front of their eyes. People have engaged in relationships from a place of survival that have crumbled in front of their eyes. Humanity has been incapable of actually making anything sustainable from a state of survival. However, when we stop and we pause and we breathe, and our life becomes a living meditation, and we operate from that place, there's nothing but a sustainable future. There's nothing but innovation, nothing but creativity, nothing but the best and the brightest of us finally having an avenue through which they can express the totality of their beings. So I want to thank you for waking up today. I want to thank you for being in my life. I want to thank you for all that you are. And thanks so much for allowing me to share just some basics and fundamentals again, because I feel like sometimes we need to revisit the basics and the fundamentals to broaden our conviction and our sense of certainty in peace, the application of peace, why we're here, what we're waking up for, and the commitment, consistency, and repetition that we have toward cultivating that, remembering it, and living from it. Close your eyes, you beautiful beings, and open your palms. Who's doing the emojis today? Great. Stop typing Om Shanti Planet Earth heart emoji. And today is day 1272. I can't believe it. Close your eyes, you beautiful beings, and open your palms. Good morning, sweet friends, and welcome to another Call to Calm meditation. It is my deep honor and joy to be with you this morning. Individuals like you from all over the world for the last 1272 days have chosen to be peaceful. They've discovered that by simply becoming aware of their breathing, they can make their meditation practice mobile, and they can begin to cultivate a sense of personal peace. They can begin to cultivate a sense of peace around family dynamics, friends, peer groups, work, etc., etc., etc. And then they can also begin to cultivate a sense of peace around what's happening in the world. You see, the more you come back to your breath, and the more you allow yourself to receive the gift of peace and calm in your life, the more you are empowered and equipped to advocate on behalf of yourself in the midst of sometimes the most trying and challenging situations. It has been my honor to welcome millions of people like you from all over the world, every race, every religion, every nationality, every sexual orientation, every gender, Every possible configuration of human being has come through here and has found a gift and a blessing available within themselves. The ability to live from a place of peace and personal power. If you're new to me, new to meditation, don't worry. It's very simple. I'll guide you through the whole thing. So close your eyes, open your palms, sit back, and just allow yourself to be comfortable as we take this wonderful, much-needed respite of connecting with the calm and the peace and the presence that dwells within us. Resting in the awareness of your breath transforms your life into a living meditation. Allowing yourself to become aware of every inhalation and exhalation. And that you're recognizing that as soon as you allow yourself to become aware of your breath, you begin to feel a shift in your state of being. You begin to return to your natural state of peace. And in doing so, you fully empower yourself to live your life. So welcoming every in-breath and every out-breath. This morning, we're going to make being a human being a non-issue. We're going to accomplish in our short time together what countless hours of seeking and searching and working in yourself have been incapable of delivering to you. This morning, as you rest in the awareness of your breath, we're going to cultivate an inclusive relationship with ourselves. Totally giving ourselves permission to be a human being, to have emotions, to have feelings, to have the experience of mind, to have the experience of being in a body, the blessing of physicality. And with every inhalation and exhalation, beginning to cultivate a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the many facets of you. Instead of trying to get rid of your emotions, we're going to accept the fact that they're there. Embracing the feelings that are there. Grateful for the presence of your mind, your thoughts. I'm so happy that you get to live another day in this beautiful biological miracle that you call home. Beginning to feel a sense of peace expanding beyond the center of your being to every emotion, every feeling, the mind and the body. Relaxed, at ease, no longer needing to be different in order to be peaceful. Instead, recognizing that the acceptance of all that you are allows you to consciously access the peace that is your natural state. Today, I give myself permission to be a human being. I give myself permission to be a human being. From this foundation of personal peace, I allow myself to recognize that as much as my life events have made me who I am, and that all of that allows me to love, to connect, to relate, to be available for others in their experience. In that same way, I find comfort in knowing that in the lives of everyone that I love, they too are going through exactly what they have to go through to be able to access that same gift and blessing for themselves and others. So I allow my peace to extend out beyond me to everyone in my life. I'm at peace with their journeys, with their choices, with their decisions, with how they choose to live. I empower them to be themselves, and I set them all free. Continuing to rest in the awareness of your breath, allowing your personal sense of peace to expand out beyond you to family, co-workers, colleagues, friends. And then, out beyond everyone that's in the immediate vicinity of you, to the world at large. I recognize the presence of peace within every human heart. And I know, with every fiber of my being, that we make it as a species, that we're going to be okay. And that if we're not peaceful yet, it's not the end of the movie. I recognize that my greatest gift and contribution is to infuse the world with this sense of personal peace that I have now cultivated within myself. That loving others is actually extending to them the gift of peace that I offer to myself every day. Peace on a personal level. Peace on a communal level. And peace on a collective level. Continuing to rest in the awareness of your breath. Grateful that you don't have to be different in order to be peaceful. Grateful that you can leave everyone in your life alone to have their experience. And grateful for the fact that humanity is evolving into something greater than we could ever imagine. And we're going to be just fine. Seeing the world enveloped in your peace. Seeing everyone that you love embraced in your peace. And being empowered to live your life from this place and space of peace. so that your potential can be liberated in every area of life. Just take some breaths and just notice how you feel. Just noticing how you feel. And noticing and finding a sense of appreciation for the blessing that your commitment, consistency, and repetition of your natural state of being, which is peace and calm, has provided you. How many of you feel like you've just been to the spa? Isn't it wonderful? Well, the good news is that resting in the awareness of your breath makes every day a spa day. Even when you're going through the most challenging things imaginable, when you actually allow yourself to be at peace in the midst of them, you go through them with a sense of grace and ease and calm. You begin to access a greater sense of possibility and potential. And so continue to welcome your breath. Continue to rest in the awareness of it. And you'll notice that no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, within a few breaths, you'll be able to come back to this place of calm. And from that place of calm, you'll know what to do. Today is Wednesday, all day, on planet Earth. And we're all still here. Before you know it, it's going to be Friday. Today, we have a group alignment session. What is that? A group alignment session is your opportunity to be supported by me personally in a group setting. If you are at all worried about the world, incapable of letting go of loved ones, you have just so much suffering as it relates to people in your life, you have a huge attachment to everyone in your life, or you're still at odds with you, see if you can rearrange your morning and come. People really love these group alignment sessions. So if that works out for you, wonderful. Also, just a reminder that you're not practicing a technique. You're becoming aware of what's always there. You're simply just becoming aware of what's already inherently present within you and what always has been present within you. Will emotions come up? Of course they will. Will feelings arise? Of course they will. Will you think thoughts? Of course you will. Is stuff happening in your body? Of course it is. You're a human being. And at some point, I promise you, if not today, then one day in a not too distant future, being human won't be something that you'll have to survive. It won't be something that you'll try and change. It'll be something that you'll be grateful for. And you'll be grateful for it no matter what's happening in your life. Because you'll realize that it was being human that allowed you to complain about it in the first place. It's actually being human that makes everything possible in the first place. So after a while, you'll have an epiphany, an aha moment, a moment of wisdom and inspiration, where you'll realize that this human thing is actually the thing that makes everything else possible. Even complaining about it. Phoning up the human customer service hotline and letting people know how much you can't stand it, aka your friends. The only thing that makes that possible is the fact that you are human and that you are here. See? But after a while, you have to begin to ask yourself, I wonder what else this human thing makes possible and available. Well, we're going to find out. So, wishing you all a fantastic day. Thank you for being in my life. Just a reminder that all of the replays are available all access, or 1,272 days of Call to Calm. Put me in your pocket, take me with you, so that'll Panache everywhere you go, speaking to you about peace and calm, and the power of commitment, consistency, and repetition, and how this is going to further the advancement of your life and humanity at large. Stay peaceful, you beautiful beings. I love you with all my heart, and until the next time, twinkle twinkle.